Welcome to Inside Your Community Schools. This program was developed to answer some of the top questions that community members have for what happens inside your community schools. My name is Jeff Schuler. I'm the superintendent from District 200.
And I'm Erica Liacano. I'm the Director of Communications for District 200. Today's topic is the future of instruction and technology, or as we like to call in District 200, FIT.
Great. We're joined by two extremely talented educators in District 200. So I'd like to introduce and welcome into the conversation Faith Dahlquist. Faith is our Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services. And Lee Cook. Lee Cook is an Instructional Technology Specialist or Coordinator for District 200. Faith and Lee, thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So we're going to get the conversation started around FIT by, I think, Faith, first asking you a question, which is, so why FIT? Why focus on a change in the learning environment? Why are we even talking about that?
Right. Well, throughout time, there have been some changes in technology that have caused a need for education to change and adapt, because what we need from our workers is different. If you remember way back in like the manufacturing period, we needed to have students learn what that needs to be and learn how to adapt to those jobs. Technology came in and became way better at humans than doing manufacturing, and we entered into the informational age. And then it was much more about knowledge is power and all of those things. And now technology comes in and Siri can answer information questions all the time. And we're in the conceptual era where we now have to be developing our skills that robots and technology can't do, where those skills are collaboration and creation. And sure, we still need to do reading and writing and mathematics, but we need to be able to draw those skills together and work with people where robots can't. So we developed and looked at, well, what do we really want instruction to look like, and wanted to have a vision that was really linked to that and keeping our eye on all the changes in the future. And that's why we came across this vision statement and have been working on this for about 5 years of how education needs to change to meet the needs.
Great. So you kind of took us right there when you started to talk about that vision statement and that learning environment. So talk to us a little bit about what is FIT. So for a parent or community member kind of going, okay, I follow where instruction is going and it needs to look different for kids, but what does that actually look like?
Right. So what we are building is different learning environments where we want students to have more ownership in their learning and have them still meet all the basic skills that they need, but set up situations where they can create more and collaborate more and solve problems that maybe we haven't even thought of before. If you think about how much technology is changing the world, there are going to be careers and jobs that we can't predict. So our students need to have a lot more practice in encountering new problems, working together, learning how to make sense of all of the information that's available and what's a credible source, and doing that. So in a nutshell, creating this learning environment is trying to resemble what type of learning environments they're going to need after they leave us, because there's not any way that we can pump all the knowledge that they need now. They're going to have to continue to learn, because technology is going to continue to change the world and change the dynamics. So we have to equip them to be learners long after they leave us, and any of the skills that we can give them to collaborate and to learn how they best learn is what we're trying to do. And there's some different components that look into that. We want them to have the ability to construct knowledge and create that. We want to have collaboration and creation time. We want the environment to be personalized and differentiated enough so it's really engaging. If you think about kids' technology, everything is kind of engaging. You go to Starbucks and you can get your order completely personalized. So education, in order to be engaging, needs to be that personalized. But that doesn't mean everybody's sitting in front of computers. That means that we have to have shared experiences, that they are working toward common standards and skills, but it's a lot of time that happens without a device, because we're teaching them and we want them to have collaboration skills, and you can't do that locked into a computer screen.
Yeah.
So Lee, we heard some big words: knowledge construction, collaboration, creation. What does that really look like in our classrooms? Can you share some examples of how we're carrying out the vision for learning in our classrooms?
So this vision for learning is definitely something that's in process. It's something that can't just instantly be inserted with, a flip of a switch. It's something that we're not doing collaboration today and knowledge construction tomorrow. It's a full kind of blended environment that we're trying to create, and that takes time as teachers and students in the system adapt to it. But an example that would involve collaboration would be, when we think about collaboration, we're not just talking about the traditional group work that we all used to do. Collaboration is learning to collaborate, but also collaborating to learn. And that isn't just through the walls of the classroom, it's using technology to break outside of the classroom as well. So an example would be a middle school was in contact with Morton Arboretum scientists, and they discovered that they were doing some research with prairie grasses. And this particular middle school had a unique setup with some prairie grasses in their backyard. And so the students are collecting data and doing observations of the prairie grass in their backyard and doing regular video conferences back with the scientists to share data, collaborate to learn, learn to collaborate, and this is part of their actual research. So yes, they're collaborating with their classmates, they're collaborating with people beyond the classroom walls, but they're also doing all those other fit learning environment things of constructing knowledge, real world problem solving, contextualized learning, higher order thinking, and mastering standards. So that's kind of an example of how we use technology as a tool, but learning's the outcome.
So you mentioned several skills that we are working to develop in our students. Why are those skills so important to develop?
So I think Faith articulated that beautifully, as we look to what we're trying to prepare students for. And while we may not know what's certain in the future, one thing that everybody agrees on is that learning how to learn is the most important thing for our students to come out of their education with, because the half-life of a skill now is about 5 years. So you can't be prepared coming out of school to do your same job and career for the next 40. You have to be ready to be an agile learner and adapt. And it's those kinds of skills that will enable them to learn how to learn and not just know things, but know how to do stuff with what they know.
Excellent. So the Student Excellence Foundation, our district's education foundation, recently supported the purchase of video production studios. I know, exciting, in all 13 elementaries, 4 of our middle schools. Why is that support important? Why are those video production studios valuable for our schools?
It is so wonderful because, as we know, this new multimedia format is kind of the canvas through which we're doing so much more communication. And many of us are not just reading books and newspapers to get our information. We get them through podcasts, newscasts. Kids are already creating with their phones in this video format. And so it is a format of communication, but these studios open a whole range of opportunities. Yes, our kids can create. They can create and use their voice in a format that allows them to show what they know and develop skills, but they can be using the microphones and stuff to practice their skills and watch and listen to themselves back and make adjustments to how they're reflecting and adapting their learning. They can produce massive, performances that not only are I'm standing in front of the class reading my report, but now this is on YouTube and my parents see it and people across the country see it. Their audience is more authentic and they're actually creating and doing. It's not only the actual outcome, the fact that I can have video or an audio file, but it's that process. The amount of effort and planning and organization that goes into creating things in that studio.
Like we saw this morning.
Exactly. It's been amazing here, and it's those kinds of opportunities. It's not just the outcome, but it's that process of producing and creating, and you have to do it collaboratively when you're trying to do a bigger production. So,
Faith, I'm curious. As we talk about this new knowledge creation era and the future of instruction and technology, talk to me a little bit about just academic standards in some of our core discipline areas. How does that fit into this new framework for what learning needs to look like?
Right. So we still have the content standards of reading and writing, math, science, social studies, but it's a lot more of having the students apply those standards. If you think about what it takes to put in a production video, all that writing piece of still knowing your audience, having a good introduction, having correct grammar, still really critical. But now I also have to be able to create it and I have to be able to sell it, and I need to think about the background and all of those other pieces that go into it. The science piece fits so, engineering practices along with the new science standards fit beautifully in with our vision, because it's all about creating models for understanding, being able to critically think about that. And you still need to know all the principles of science, but it's can you apply that to new learnings, not just answer a multiple choice test about it. So all those critical content standards still play a piece, but it's now students owning it and then applying it to future unknown situations.
And I think my last thought or question is, so as we think about all the classrooms across District 200 and the teachers who are putting in place, you know, this fit learning environment, how are we supporting teachers? How are we helping them embrace and understand fit and continue to shift their own practices to really reflect what we know is critically important for kids?
Well, there's a lot going on with that. We have some committees and professional development that we do. I think the thing that comes most easily to mind is that we've changed the type of professional development we offer to staff, where it is not, or it used to be me in the auditorium talking to everybody and kind of sitting there and they're getting that. Now it's, here's where we want to go, here's 8 different videos or articles to read, or team time for them to learn whatever it is and then think about applying it. So that same type of learning environment that we want for students, we want staff to have that and feel that and know how engaging and how motivating it is, so that they can see that with their students. And then we also go in and model, and we have people collaborate and share with that. And I know Lee goes around a lot to the schools to help out. And it is a real shift in teaching that I am not the storyteller of all information. I am the creator of different learning activities and supporters of all of that learning that is happening. And it takes so much organization on our teachers' behalves to make all that happen. It isn't just, well, here's the stuff, kids, go and do. It takes a lot of purposeful planning and design to have this type of learning environment for all students.
Well, I know our institute days and our staff work days certainly look very different than they did several years ago. We enjoy posting pictures on our social media of what our teachers are really doing when students are home in their pajamas on a day off of school. So we can absolutely see how those professional development opportunities are very different in today's learning environment.
Nathan Lee, thank you for joining us today. Well, that's it for today's issue of Inside Your Community Schools, the program that was designed to answer key questions that you have about things that are taking place inside your community schools. If you have a question or a topic you'd like us to consider answering in a future edition of this program, please email us at communications@cusd200.org, and I look forward to seeing you inside of one of our community schools.